Okay, my name is Rojo, and today I am going to be looking at Rogue versus Fnatic 7 of the LEC. Reason being, they have a match coming up for the continuing to be in the playoffs. So let's see how things are. Here I am. First of all, a secret weapon. Pull this out. Let's look. First the draft, and then we'll get into the game. No pausing. 1.5 speed. So first of all, Renekton, early game dominant champion. Interestingly enough, not paired with an early game or dominant jungler, which tells me that there's already a bit of like weird incongruency, and then you keep going, and then it just looks even weirder, right? Um, because Sejuani is a champion that you want to reach 6, and then she can finally start being as effective as she wants to be. She's still pretty decent ganking. She can get away from situations, so she's not necessarily bad. But she being a tank means that she is inherently designed to scale, uh, which runs counter to the way that Renekton wants to play. And then of course you see the Zir, and then you see the Senna, same kind of idea. Zir, one of the strongest scaling DPS champions in the game, and then Senna is a champion that only gets stronger over the course of the game um, due to her passive as she picks up her ghouls. Now, of course, she's AD carry and probably going to be farming, which means that she's not going to have all of the ghouls that she wants, but it's fine. Um, yeah. And then Tom Kench is here. There's not really anything that he's blocking. He's just Tom Kench. You look at the other team. There's really nothing that says, all right, Tom Kench is going to be a problem for me. This is a DPS option. I mean, does have burst, but I mean, I guess you could argue that the Tom Kench can take someone out of the uh, shockwave, can take someone away from Ornn and his ultimate, and gets people out of Set's range. So, I mean, there is value to it, but is it at the highest value pick here? Probably not, especially into the champions that it's against. It seems like it's going to have a bad time. But just to finish off looking at Rogue's composition, it is, for the most part, there's there's a sense of congruity to it. And then you have Renekton. So that's a little unfortunate. I guess you could argue that it's designed to be like a bridge where you start early and then you use Renekton to cross the bridge, and then you finally have a Zir. That was supposed to be the letter A. You have a Zir. Yep, that's still not. You have a Zir coming in, and then you have Senna coming in, and then you're finally crossing the bridge, killing the Nexus, right? That's the idea. Or at least that seems to be the idea here. I don't know if that necessarily is going to work out. I would imagine that what we're going to be seeing is fairly top focus. Obviously, I can see where they're starting, or at least at 30 seconds where they are. So, bit cheating in terms of my prediction as to where Inspired is going to start. But I would imagine he's going to go top side because you want to get this Renekton rolling, or maybe he goes blue down, and then on his return, on his reset, he will then do something top. That's also possible. Depends on how they think the matchup is going to go. If Renekton needs if they think that Renekton is going to need assistance in pushing the lane and then resetting back, maybe that's what they'll go. They'll have a blue start and then they'll reset and go top. In any case, looking at Fnatic's composition, you have tank Ornn, makes even non-scaling champions scale beyond where they should be. Set jungle, who I think is Interestingly, here I think it actually has a lot of value because of the Sejuani and even the Renekton, who does stack health, which does increase his effectiveness. He is just going to be a tank though, but overall I think that he's not the best, especially. I mean, he gains value because of Renekton. I don't know where he was picked in the draft. I would imagine he was actually picked fairly early. I can't imagine this was picked very early, but um, he does gain value thanks to Renekton, and he does gain value thanks to Sejuani. Frankly, more so due to Renekton's penchant to walk into or to try to get into the opposing team. So that means that Set can ult him away. Uh, yeah, I guess he could also flank. It's probably not gonna happen. What's really most likely is the most likely play pattern for Set here is he waits for Renekton to decide to walk into him, and then without the Tahm Kench to save him, he can then bring him out, then bust onto his entire team, and using Orianna as a wombo combo, and then Ornn as a wombo combo, and even Sivir. I mean, they just steamroll, right? That's his like dream. That's the Set's dream scenario, but we'll see if that actually happens. Orianna, stable mid laner, um, not necessarily uh, a a winning matchup. Probably more skill based, right, in the mid lane, but it's whatever. I didn't even touch on the Ornn matchup. I would imagine that Ornn is going to be fine, but Renekton's probably going to have some control of the lane at the beginning, and then uh, even probably throughout laning phase, and then or screws up, but Renekton should have control over the laning phase, and then um, the Ornn should be fine in the side lane. And then finally, the bottom lane. I think this is just going to absolutely destroy this. Uh, uh, I actually have no idea how any other line of thinking is possible. But I'm open to learn. So if we see something weird happen, or if we see that the Senna is doing well, maybe we'll make note of it and try to figure out why. Overall, I think I like Fnatic composition here quite a bit more than Rogues. Bard has such good value due to the Azir and due to the Senna, who are both, uh, kind of like stand your ground, shoot things at your opponent kind of champions, which means that they're going to generally be fairly immobile or under their normative play pattern. In their ideal scenarios, they're going to be fairly immobile, so a Temper Fate is actually a good target for them, especially the Senna. Tahm Kench is also a good Temper Fate target, I suppose, depending on where he is positioned. Um, so there's a lot of value that this Bard can bring. I think there's a lot of value that this Sivir can bring because it prevents Renekton from actually doing anything, because when he runs in, you're just going to run out. This entire team is just going to get sped up. Alternatively, you could use it offensively to get onto the opposing carries. So, right, item breakpoints. I mean, Renekton's gonna hit his one item. He's gonna still want what is it? Bork Death Dance. So he can do 2 items and then fight. That's not that bad. Obviously he can fight at 1, but I don't know if that's necessarily what you're gonna be doing when you have Senna and the Azir, even the Sejuani, who probably wants another item on top of the Cinderhulk. Fnatic, similar scenario. They can fight at 1 item, but Ornn pretty much says, I don't want to do that necessarily. Orianna can fight at 1 item, and Sivir could fight at 1 item. So even on the 1 item, I don't think that. Hmm, hmm. This does actually outrange quite a bit, these two. But the speed up, I think, the value of the speed up and the potential engage and disengage from this entire composition, I think, is just very, very high. So due to the options that Fnatic have, I do still I think that they're the better composition. But 1.5 speed. Go.
about
Oh god, it's loud. Every time. It's a classic. Alright,
play style of
okay.
as I say that, a cute little level.
Not that I
I feel like we've done almost
have a
core
problem
kind
with
of very
Frostgurn's
specific
voice,
language onto
just
Rogue's play style, kind of the pieces that make up it.
I
For
don't
being
need
an
it that
early on
loud.
team that look for very quick resets to constantly apply
Okay.
pressure and gain tempo
There
on the
is
map, I
the
have no
classic
respect.
Bard
So what I
thing.
want
2
viewers to really pay
shrines
attention
is
to that
basically a
Rogue
full
do is
potion
how often they use push power
for the mid
to shove
laner,
the
which
lanes
means that they
back
are able to
and then
trade more
onto a different
aggressively.
side of the lane. This allows them
Actually,
super
3 is
strong
even
hard
better.
and Drake control.
And that's one of the things that I love when I watch Rogue and Inspired in particular.
So they're gonna be Orianna's gonna be able to trade even more, push the lane aggressively, potentially get a good early recall off, and then come into the lane with even more advantage. So all good things.
And it's really potent and powerful when you're on something like N0.
Inspired is actually going sword to top side. I wondered how they wanted to do it. I guess this makes sense. Probably just overcomplicating it when I was thinking about it. Okay.
Well, taking a look at this bottom lane, one of the things Frostgurn you were talking about was this impact that TK Sim lane was going to have in order of a race to level 2 Reckless and
So, I mean, they were being very aggressive, but when Reckless actually traded onto Hansama, they were reminded that it's not the easiest. The Tom Kench being able to aggress very well makes sense, but I don't imagine that this is going to continue throughout the lane.
Difficult bot lane to deal with and to move. Now, Sivir has had some buffs, some nerfs, and some different changes over the course of it. Ultimately, though, it's still going to work the same thing since we haven't seen her in a hot minute. She's still going to need more levels before she's going to have perma wave clear. It got a little bit more difficult with the damage from her W, but her Q does a bit more damage.
This is a good point by Frostgurn, talking about the levels needed to really start clearing the wave and controlling the lane, as she wants, instead of the other way around. So something that I missed in my thoughts. Sejuani is actually being aggressive on the top side, going for the Spire's Bloom. Seeing that set went for the Krugs, Inspired is going through and getting double grab, which is very, very good for Inspired, and really, really painful for Selfmade. I mean, he literally just wasted a whole bunch of time. He could have just reset and then been on his map.
That suddenly Vander and Hansama are walking into river, that they're placing vision in that river or placing vision on an enemy blue buff to always give Inspired that information to make the choices that Ender is talking about.
And whose vision is going to matter more now? Because we saw Selfmade walk in and put a ward on the Rogue blue buff. Well, Inspired did the same thing, but Selfmade's pathing down here immediately. Rogue know that that's going to be responding. Sure, Selfmade can clear this away.
So, I mean, the truth is that Selfmade probably loses Crab anyway, and the end result isn't actually that impactful if you look at the exact timings because of how the spawns were going to work on Gromp and Wolves. So I guess it's not that big of a deal, but it is inefficient.
Who's going to help win the game? We're looking at the Fnatic composition. Who's going to be the key players to focus on at different stages?
This is an interesting setup.
Actually, I think it comes down to the
It's not relevant, but because it is a cool setup. It's not the traditional lineup that Fnatic have. Okay. Both mid laners have decided to teleport. I was not paying attention to the lane state, so I can't really say one way or another about it. Inspired has yet to recall, which means that he is still on the map. I would imagine he's going to be pathing towards the bottom lane. Maybe? Maybe not, actually, because he just cleared those camps, didn't he? So, where is he going to go now? I guess he goes to red, because it's going to come up. I don't know if we expect Inspired to be going back to base. I think it's a little weird. I don't know if that gank ever works, and now he's just waiting for the crab on the end of the world. But at the same time, you see that they're basically saying, well, I mean, we're just going to get it. And it's fairly clear by the way the Fnatic are playing that they're not really going to contest this, as well as the fact, of course, that the Rogue bottom lane does have push and priority, and it was fairly even in the mid lane, so Nemesis could not move. Selfmade just took the blue. Unfortunate, that combo was very strange. I don't think it actually worked out at all how they thought, and is Blipple gonna die here? Please don't die.
Thought he saw something and the information definitely lied to him. I've never seen a jungler kind of face check into a very different situation like that.
Look, Inspired walking in is a huge, question mark over my head, but then seeing Selfmade pick Inspired up, saying, no, I'm going to place you kindly outside of the jungle, or outside of the shockwave, that is just crazy. Okay. Now Inspired, he sees nothing right now.
Yeah, okay, so...
Oh, he sees the blue for just a second, yeah.
Yeah, but he knows the enemy mid laner is over here.
Surely he just doesn't expect this self-made
Oh, and something's happening. Okay. You know what? Never mind. I have no idea how bottom lanes work, I guess. That's fair enough. I didn't think that it would be this bad, though, because this is a huge difference.
Thumbs down if I'm looking at that.
But yeah, no, the synergy on that was awful. Now that's just a case of I actually have no idea. I feel like these are two fairly common jungle mid duo. This should be fairly practiced on the synergy behind that, or in the communication for it. But it's not. It's really not that relevant or serious. Just it is something to note. We're looking at a team and their ability to work in the playoffs. Okay, so Fnatic ended up getting the miss abilities. Hylissang pretty much just inted. Almost inted. Fnatic actually get the Rift Herald, which is good for them, obviously.
That he got to base faster and was able to actually get to the earlier reset and beat them to Herald. So I actually do like the adaptation from Fnatic right there.
Part of the plan.
Oh yeah, 3,000 IQ on the play there.
I love it. I love it. Now I'm looking at what's going down.
So I believe, as Frostgurn is mentioning, they or did mention, they moved to the Herald pretty much as soon as they died. So after Hylissang dies, he lands it over here, and then they rotate around to the Herald, which is why they were on it before Rogue were able to do anything with it.
I mean, I think they rotated up here because they wanted to contest Herald. They showed up, and then Herald was gone. But Larsen's actually kind of demonstrating the idea right now, which is shoves a hard lane in, and then he walks back into the mid lane, and they're just doing a great job of funneling so much CS and gold onto.
How are we going to? I don't think that Fnatic are going to contest the blue, or sorry, not blue, the dragon.
And it's because they love to play this style League of Legends. Also, I think they have a massive win rate when they have a lead at 15 minutes. It just speaks to Rogue's early game and how controlled it is as their playstyle. They're such a textbook team, and they're super clean in doing it.
And Frost, one of the players that we were excited about that the analysts talked about, Larsen currently has a 20 CS advantage. Reckless has already been run down with Hylissang once, and this time forced to flash. You
gotta give respect over to the Glacial Augment Tom canceling. Like, that is tough. If you're pushing up inside the lane, you get hit by one ability, one auto attack. You are
so Fnatic are
right there, and that's coming
at a slight disadvantage. It's not the end of the world, but it is worth noting. Bottom lane is about equal now. Sivir is able to wave clear almost entirely, so there's no real. She's gonna get every single CS. Okay, Finn is dead.
Finn manages to get taken out. Self-made goes golden for now. The rest of the squad making their way down. Teleport's coming in. Self-made is low. 200 HP. Manages to get a gigantic shield. That's how it helps out, though. That's reply back. Finally finds a target for Nemesis, but it simply doesn't matter. Whipper can't go any deeper.
Yeah, and meanwhile, while all of that was happening, Reckless and Haley are actually still losing onto the top side of the map. Nemesis had backed up and was looking where he was going to use his TP. I feel like they were trying to communicate.
Because of the TP that was used, as well as
I mean, I just see exactly how Rogue want to play this game within that play too, because they have TP on Hansam and Vander. They could.
So they have to back off. I'm not entirely sure what their health values were, or what if they were buying something that was relevant. I'm not sure why Reckless has to back off and then lose plates on the top side when everyone was transitioning towards the bottom. Perhaps it was a case of. It was a case. Okay. Yeah, I believe it might have been a case. If I could go back, but it's against the rules. I would imagine that the idea was, okay, we're gonna make a play on the bottom side, and they wanted to reset anyway, probably. And there's danger if they stay here, so they decide to back. But what ends up happening is Rogue aren't even making a play top. They just go down to make a play bottom, and the bottom laners just take plates. Why is Whippo low health? What was he doing? Getting Grom? Nemesis should not be dead here, so he's fine. Okay, so in 4 minutes, this is going to be really, really big. Obviously, because of the way that Fnatic were on the top side, or the bottom laners were on the top side, and because it was fairly clear that Fnatic weren't really going to contest second dragon.
biggest problem for Fnatic, I mean,
the
yes, Larson
Rogue
and Selfmade very much ahead,
team
but
was
Whippo
able
and
to
Selfmade
take
have more gold
second
than
dragon
Nemesis and
for
Reckless.
free.
Those are the two players that need money. I don't care if Whippo got a CS lead. No, Selfmade's been a part of a kill. Nemesis and Reckless need to find
The
ways
next
to funnel
objective
themselves.
being
But you see
around
this desperation
the
here. They are just scrambling
Rift
right now to
Herald.
find anything to attack on the map. And part of
It
the
would
reason
seem
why
as
Reckless
though
doesn't
Fnatic
have that
are
control
aware of
over
this.
sitting at the very
They
bottom
do
is
not
because
want to
early
give
this
this
game,
up.
look at what Haley's doing. He's just
Putting a
trying
lot
to
more
he's
priority
very
on the
trying to make
Herald
this
than
huge
on the
arc with
Dragon,
Haley
and there's no
absolutely
particular
perfect.
reason
He's
for it.
getting
They're
out there
just
across that defender on his
uh,
target. That has been
I
huge
think
in
it's a
win
matter
condition. This is one
of
of the big moments
prioritizing
that we
one
have.
objective
The
over the
impact
other.
these players have. Now there is a potential setup for engage. Rogue coming to around, but they may not be going
I
yet.
guess the particular reasons would be the reasons why you would take one over the other, but it seems almost arbitrary that they're deciding that their Herald is contestable, but not the Dragon.
Selfmade managed to pick it up and get out.
Selfmade gets it.
Fnatic got the teleport.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
that's
there
a
was
great
actually
play
pretty
from
close,
Fnatic.
but it
They
was
Nemesis
not
has
the
chunks,
worst.
has to flash out of there too, but I almost feel like at the
Nemesis
same time, Rogue
almost
slow on the truck,
died.
called the TP in,
Needs
just
to
ended up
back
being a solo
off
fight there, and Fnatic were able to
further
take
due
Yeah, I
to
actually think that they should have just let the TP
this
go. It doesn't
voyage.
matter so much because Larson's still
This tower is
available, and again,
probably
playing
dead.
ball side on that anyway in 2 minutes with the Infernal spawn. That said, Nemesis losing his flash is actually pretty significant because you're against a stage 1
He is
and
holding the
Azir.
wave to
If
kill
Finn is also
more
able to
minions so
find
that
a lane
the
on
wave
that,
doesn't
suddenly now there's not
slow
as much
push
zone control as you
into
would like from his Orianna. He's just
Fnatic
so
and force
safe.
and allow a freeze. I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen, but okay, so that's a pretty inefficient use of this. It's not the end of the world, but it's definitely not the best use of that Herald.
very clearly wanted to make a play happen. He's dropping the ulti on the tower, puts the portal in. At the same time, Selfmade's like, no,
I just realized.
we're not diving. That's crazy.
Not calibrated on the same page.
Exactly.
Oh no, I remember now. Okay, that's fine. I like couldn't figure out where the first Herald went.
Is that the general tone
Wait.
that we have right now is very concerning, right? It's a 2,000 gold lead, it's a 2 dragon lead. There's a minute to the next one. Are Rogue further ahead?
Fnatic got
than
it.
the metrics are currently
What did they do with the first Herald?
describing? I mean, in terms of where the dragon
Was it
state
here?
is, the fact that
They
it's
use-
Infernal Soul and the fact of the itemization that Rogue have in
Maybe?
the game state right now, yes, they are very powerful for what is
Maybe that's what
technically
happened,
a
and I
small
just
gold lead
kind of
size.
glossed over it.
Walking into this Drake, Rogue are gonna feel
I feel like
really
it
confident
was
using
fairly
Zero's
healthy, and
Azir,
I'm
Larson,
not sure
and teleport
exactly.
across on the map to get that wave pushing in. They are perfectly ready for this 30-second
Yeah,
fight.
I really, wow. Whippo just pops the ultimate right in mid lane.
He has
If
to force
Whippo
securely
basically
otherwise.
just wave
That is
clears with that, that's not
absolutely
the
gonna
best.
happen.
That's really, really far range, and then he decides to E in and flash. That's not very good.
Forced to flash defensively. Because he
Um,
knows they have to force, they have to do something. They need to
If-
make sure that it's
okay, if they have to, Cross Garden is saying that yes, they have to force because it is
But not like
a
that,
potential
exactly.
soul
Way
point,
too
but like
hard.
they're
Through
doing it
them.
at
And
such
now
a far
the
range that there's no way anyone's going to be able to follow up, even if Whippo hits the ultimates. What's the what even is the angle here? I mean, they even lose mid tower potentially, and Dragon.
And now it's even more dire. You can see
Larson
Fnatic
does it
they
again.
messed up. The Ornn ultimate wasn't available.
He
We called
walks
it,
up
keep
to
it
the
away.
free
And
tower,
now we're on
takes
soul
it,
point.
and
Now
then
Fnatic
his
have
team
5
walks
minutes
over to the
basically
free
to
dragon
play
and
this
takes
game,
it.
and Rogue are just in cruise control. They feel amazing about this. And I'm so disappointed for Rogue. Do you want to know why? Because I think Rogue wanted to face a real challenge today and prove that they were better than Fnatic in form. Fnatic are not in form. And it still leaves
As Quickshot is saying, it really does feel like Fnatic is just not even. They're barely competition. Rogue is was actually the #1 team at the end of the league, so this seems very weird. I mean, the Renekton is effectively not any value at all. It's just whatever the value of having Renekton in lane against Ornn was the value of Renekton, and then now it's just
they're in a
hasn't done
position
anything.
where it is so easy
So
for them because of the state of the map. They can control mid lane, they can control vision. They don't have
okay,
to force
so
anything
there's a
out
whole
of
bunch of vision that they are
will wait until Fnatic comes
nabbing
because, as we said before,
away.
are getting desperate.
Most of it was defensive for Rogue, so not even necessarily relevant, especially because the next objective is in 3.5 minutes, which means that those wards don't matter. Okay, they do get the mid tower. Rogue was a little out of position for it, potentially also even wanted it to die. It didn't seem like they were really mounting a defense for it. Larson is in a... Alright, he's fine.
It's just too late in the game for Fnatic to try.
I'm not entirely sure where, if we've seen the Tempered Fate for the record. Oh, that's unfortunate. And they take the fight anyway. This actually might be good. This could be good for Fnatic. Was that a Shockwave on top of a Tempered Fate? Hello? Wait, did you see that right there? What was that? Yes, Whippo's ultimate was probably by far the best ability that I watched happen from Fnatic. What was the synergy on this ultimate and this ultimate?
But currently, at this point,
Please give me that
maybe
replay
get
so
two
I can
more fights
understand
or two
what
more
I just
opportunities to
witnessed.
try to do that. Yes, Larson
Thank
doesn't
you.
have flash. It's not as significant or meaningful
Okay,
because he is
so
the
they all
lead.
try to
Just
aggress
seeing
onto
kind of
Larson.
redo
They
every
end up
single time,
having
every line.
this
Fnatic
is
are desperate. They are
there's reeks of
constantly trying to
desperation,
find
as
Rogue
Frostgren
any
is
point
just
and
mentioning.
sucker punch them. That's the only option that they have right now, and you can tell they've completely forgone just trying to farm out the lane phase.
End up losing out on Selfmade. Selfmade just dies, doesn't even get his ultimate off. Whippo hits a really, really good ultimate. Okay, let's look at where the Shockwave goes. Shockwave's actually missed anyway, but the Temper Fate comes in pretty much on the exact same spot, which is a little awkward. I would imagine the idea is that if the Shockwave hits all those targets, then you can kill them. Okay. Interesting.
Hylissang is swinging, but Fnatic are missing.
But Fnatic keep going too soon. We're 50 seconds out from Infernal Drake. Even if they get that kill,
Why do they keep doing this? What is this? What, like, what? Why do they keep saying, okay, we need to fight before the dragon spawns? Because if we tease the dragon, they'll just kill the dragon, I guess, is the logic. Even though they have a decent amount of initiation, the Temper Fate can prevent the dragon from spawning, and now the Temper Fate is on cooldown, not in time for the dragon. So unless they can delay them for the next few seconds, they don't have Tempered Fate, which means they can't stop the dragon.
Hylissang's going to try push Finn away. There we go to Vision. Then to observe is Finn will be able to match Selfmade for now. Rogue now back away.
And now they are forcing themselves into this position. Finn is being zoned away by Hylissang, so now he's dead. Hylissang is now dead. Oh, maybe not. They actually collapsed onto Finn, but they are still on the dragon. Is a very good Emperor's Divide, but the fight is actually going in Fnatic's favor. It was a messy fight, and they were basically 4v5, so it was a very good fight by Fnatic. I'd love to see a replay of that, because there are certain, because I was really just paying attention to the Finn side of it and not to the River side. I mean, Frostgren's not mentioning it. They were split from Finn and they were focusing different targets. I mean, this is the story of the game. They weren't able to get Baron, which is really unfortunate, and that sucks. Okay, I thought they got caught out, and that was gonna be Baron if they both die.
Questionable decision-making leading up to it. This has to be a little bit of momentum on the Fnatic squad.
I think one of the key things is the itemization that's now finally coming in for the Sivir. Has the completed Infinity Edge, and Essence Reaver obviously has much stronger battle stats, but also level 13, so has 5 points and 2 of the abilities, the Q and the W, and that actually means
so now champions are starting to reach the 3 items, 2.5 items. Whippo has his Horn items. Hylissang is for some reason just like meandering into this spot. I'm not even sure how you could justify it.
There isn't an answer.
Frostgren can't justify it either. That's so difficult because now you lose out on the potential vision. So now you can't aggress with vision, and you end up losing out on a potential sweeper.
Tank line for Rogue. If you look at the champions, it's Bork Black Cleaver for the Renekton, so not any true tank stats, and then Sejuani is a couple of pieces of the armor.
So you can't sweep away. Bard is now coming up, so it's not the end of the world, but they did lose out on potential vision. And now they have to spend time clearing it, which is time that Rogue can use to fix the waves how they want, get farm, reset, and then go back to doing the same song and dance with the vision.
Yeah. I mean, Fnatic are a team that usually play
The Bard pick doesn't end up being super critical, but it's obviously not ideal to watch Bard walk into the opposing team. They never did a replay of the fight, by the way. That's unfortunate.
Much more difficult for Rogue to cut through Fnatic because I don't believe Rogue have any sort of anti-healing just yet.
It was a question that we had, Ender, when who was responsible for the tanks on Fnatic? Selfmade and Whippo are obviously in the driver's seat right now, and that does free up Hilly to kind of just do Hilly things. And even when they go wrong, if he's not carrying the responsibility of being the frontline tank, it doesn't necessarily hurt the team that much. Because I'd rather Hilly do Hilly things on a champion like Bard than Hilly do Hilly things.
What does that mean? Does that mean is that like bad? Yeah, those bad things. I'm not sure the what they're exactly meaning. Okay. The Fnatic actually have good control over the Baron side of the map, which is good. They're slowly creeping vision forward. The Bard has to reset and is going to be returning to pretty much the
have
probably
Whippo's home stats. Now,
the
Larson is recalling
no,
right now too,
was
and he
to
was
mid
split on
lane.
his itemization.
Okay.
So he went Rabadons and
I
then
thought he was
Astro.
gonna maybe
That's not really
return
avoid
to the
stack.
same
Recognizes
side
Q2, needs some
to
damage to cut through
even
the front line, but
further
Nemesis
press the
doesn't want
vision.
money for the Rabadons right now.
Okay, Fnatic, the
Seems like he's
potential
actually
is there.
going.
You have almost all of the items you need.
He hasn't put down a ward yet. Okay, puts down a control ward. Control the Forge God was interesting, and Whippo's missed basically every ability. Cool. Selfmade is now in the team for some reason. Now
Larson had a
what?
beautiful position on that fight. He zoned away the entire squad of Fnatic and just let Selfmade out to dry. That is on the Infernal Soul, and there is no smite. Fnatic have to fight this.
Once again, we saw Fnatic tank caught out of position. Whippo ulted. He was too far forward. The rest of his team punished for it. And now Rogue are going to secure the Infernal Drake, the Infernal Soul for free.
Okay, so Infernal Soul is a problem.
But
Now,
this is the thing. It's not flashy. It
when
didn't
I
end in a
looked
huge
at
teamfight.
this,
It didn't end in explosions. Watch Larson.
this game
Watch
is
Larson. Ender called him the best
not gonna
team
end
fighter
soon.
in the league, and this is why. It's
So,
basic. But with this, he secures his team Elder Soul.
what
and possibly the
happens?
game.
Look at the Sand Soldiers. Fnatic cannot walk past those. Whippo is up there. He thinks his team can follow up. They absolutely cannot.
And you know what, teams in the LEC, you don't have to like it, but you must respect it. Rogue are the forgotten first place team, and they deserve to be on the top.
And the thing that I really, really love is coming into this
Okay.
week and looking at last week when we, we branded them the forgotten first
Uh,
place team. We challenged ourselves as a broadcast to find ways to visualize and explain their power. And for Skrud and Ender, you've done a fantastic job this game.
Visualize and explain their power. Well, you see, very simple. Fnatic made several unforced errors, and then Rogue didn't. This is currently how the game's been going.
It's for Fnatic. If you're going to give them any sort of faith, though, it is that level 16s have come through for their
I don't even think that
Whippo has now handed over
macro-wise
Rabadons
did
to
anything
Nemesis.
spectacular.
That is so huge for Nemesis because he actually pivoted his optimization. He went
I
much
think
more
that
defensive.
micro-wise they've been pretty good. Okay, we get Vander. That's actually good. I genuinely have no idea how Selfmade appeared in that spot, but well played. We see a Temper Fate, and we still okay. I think it's negative. Okay. 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 They always Fnatic are biting way more than they can chew. Even if we discount all of the micro errors, like just missing abilities or using abilities on inappropriate targets, what is the logic behind some of the plays that they are making? They're just like, just go, 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 and with no consideration as to what might happen if things go bad, if it's even good. So, okay, Selfmade just kind of snuck in here and then got Vander, and then they bought way too much. They should have just said, all right, we have the support pick. Now we can aggress onto the jungle or for Vision. They say, all right, never mind. Hold on, let me root myself in front of the tower, in range of it, so that I die. Self-made. All right, don't worry, I'm gonna go hard as hell. So this is the problem when you have. This is the problem when you have a champion. This is when you have a champion like Set who wants to go in generally. Oh, we're fighting again. Game is. They just keep coming in there. Jungle support are 1, 9, and 5. They've been involved at every kill. Look at that. Together they've been okay. So here's the problem with champions like this. Now it's actually not something that's happening in this game, but it's something it's a mentality issue that's going on with this game. And I mean the game's over, so or not. No, it's over. Does it end now? He's gonna teleport back in, so the game's over. So when you have champions like Set, let me just. Alright, cool. On the final image for the win, and okay. So when you have champions like Set who want to go in, right? You have congruity issues when the rest of your champions don't want to do that necessarily. They can do that maybe, but going too far forward will cause issues. Now, I don't think that's a case of Selfmade just deciding I'm going to go super hard in the paint and I don't care where you guys are, you better follow up, right? It's a case of the whole team deciding that that's how we're going to fight and that's how we're going to play. Whippo was sending out ultimates that were extremely long range that were very unlikely to work. Philistang was throwing out ultimates that were very long range that were very unlikely to work. I don't know if Nemesis actually hit a shockwave. Some of them were a result of. One of them was because of self-made, I guess technically, but yeah, a little unfortunate for Nemesis's play. It's nothing to really harp on. But I mean, you're throwing out things that's like, all right, we're gonna get this guy, we're gonna get this guy, I'm going hard in, and it's like, team, like I'm going in, we're going in, get him, and you have Nemesis and Reckless, even if they were playing perfectly, would there's just no way that they could follow up on half the things that are being attempted. So it's not even a macro issue, frankly. Macro-wise, I think that Fnatic played fine for what they could do. I think it's definitely arguable whether they should be prioritizing the Rift Herald, because it's very interesting when you say we can do Rift Herald as 5, but we can't do Dragon. You know, we need to be scared of Dragon. We need to work away from Dragon and give them second Dragon, which forces us to play on third Dragon, and then gives them Soul if they get it gives them a Soul point, and then we're absolutely forced into a bad spot when they have 3 Dragons. It's a weird choice, to be sure, but other than that, I mean, aside from, I guess, over aggressive and mistimed attempts at fights, there was nothing that was like super egregious from Fnatic as a team. Obviously, individually, you could say a whole bunch of different things if you really want to. But again, even if some of these players play perfectly, some of the things that are happening, the mentality behind it is not good. The choices they're making are counter to how they're supposed to win, or how they probably think that they should win. I guess well, how they think they should win is probably how they were attempting to win. How they probably should win is the real question. As for Rogue, I think that they are. I'm not entirely sure. You know what? I am actually sure why they're the forgotten first place team. Just from this performance, it's because they didn't do anything special. Fnatic just like kept going into them, and then Rogue were like, "Thank you," and it was only to Rogue's benefit every time that Fnatic made a play, basically. The one time that Rogue kind of made a play was on a flank, which actually went in Fnatic's favor. I think they played well. Individually, they played well. I think that they made fairly obvious decisions around the Dragon. There was nothing too special about their gameplay, so I can see why they might be the forgotten first place team. But they're in a situation where the opposing team just gives them free kills and free everything, so okay, why not? Actually, you know what? I need to see. What did they do with the first Rift Herald? I have to know.
Yeah, and meanwhile, while all of that was happening, Reckless and Haley are
Please tell me he
actually
didn't.
onto the top side of the map.
He was.
Nemesis
Was he dead the whole time this was running down?
Issue too hard.
What does he do with it?
1,000 gold lead, as Roscoe said. With a lead at 15 minutes, Rogue are exceptionally adept at finishing the game. I do have a breaking news.
Oh, okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. I cannot believe I missed this somehow.
And with all of the
Okay.
results that have happened today, Rogue are already locked into playoffs.
All right, pack it up and go home. This is
Win or loss, they are in the postseason. Coming into today, there are millions upon millions of potential.
And then there was this play, and it was just okay. Fair enough. I just missed the like last second spawn into go for plates play, which didn't really end up resulting in anything. I just couldn't tell from the map state after the health value of this tower, because it looked like it was over half health, right? So it wasn't obvious on the minimap the entire time I was asking. So in any case, if Fnatic keep with this form, which is actually, I mean, it's week 7. This is what, 3 weeks removed now, coming into playoffs, or 3 or 4 weeks, 3 weeks, I think. I think it's 3 weeks. We're looking at 3 weeks removed from this. It's oh no, it's 8 weeks because they have an 8-week season because of the super weeks, don't they? So 2 weeks removed at this point from this particular game. I don't know if they can fix up the synergistic issues with certain players. I don't know if they can fix up the. I mean, they can. I think that it's easier to fix up decision making, especially around things like Rift Herald or Dragon. But decision making around fights, I think, is a little more difficult because it's when you're so close to major games, you don't necessarily want to rock the boat too much. Even though if they try to make these fights, happen, things aren't going to go well for them. Even if maybe if they play perfectly, these fights work, but the ask is way too high. And even if the delivery were there, why would you want to take fights that are basically saying, all right, we just execute 100% and we perfectly kill them and it's great. As for Rogue, I think that they're very stable. They're very, very good. And we were look at the 14 minutes, 15 minutes. Look at CS values. Stable, good stuff. Nothing too wild. Winning the matchup bottom. I mean, I obviously have to recant what I said about this matchup. I thought this was going to be a lot easier for Sivir Bard, but I think I underestimated the level 1 by Tom Kench, as well as the power of the Glacial Augment on Senna. So that's obviously my bad, and we live and learn. I've been Rojo.